Welcome back to the Christ Revival podcast. We are live and in a different studio because you know the nature, different city every week, or the same city in different location, but same thing. No Collar Sydney today, but we are here with Mr. 3Z's himself, the founder of His Bizzze, also one of the best rappers on the East Coast, Jay Bizzze. So.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for having me on. It's such a blessing to be here, man. I'm a Christian rapper, clothing brand owner, entrepreneur, speaker, and it's such a blessing to be here with you, man. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, man, super excited to have you. I'm glad this worked out. Yeah, but just jumping into it. So as far as Christian rap goes, like you're in the Christian rap game, you're in the industry, you're growing. Like, what got you into Christ-centered music and Christian rap, just in general?
Man, that's a good question. I would say like definitely. Music has always like been a part of me, but I definitely want to thank my brother, my older brother. So grateful for him. Shout out to my brother Keith. But yeah, he put me on to like Christian rap in general. Like I would listen to the music that he would play. He was playing like Lecrae and all these guys, and I was like, who's that? And so listening to that, I felt like he kind of brought out of me what was already in me, that God put in me. I've always loved rap. Yeah. But just to see like my brother like play these songs, like, okay, he put me on a Christian rap. You know what I'm saying? So from hearing that, man, and then just like going to like seventh grade is when it really hit me, like, man, I really love like rap. Yeah. And so I always wanted to do it for the Lord. Just grew up like in a Christian home. I thank God for my parents, man. Like they definitely like just raised me on the truth. So it was no other way for me to like if I was going to do this rap, it was going to be for the Lord. Yeah.
Yeah. And so with that, so like you've been at this since like 2015, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I thought. And so kind of, I mean, that's a long time. Yes. What kept you going? What kept you in it? Even like sometimes when you're not seeing the results, what kept you going to the point where like you got opportunities to work with like Rashad Jennings and open for Lil Baby? Like, why didn't you quit?
Yeah, definitely the Lord. The Lord kept me all this time, man. Like seriously, but I think about even like an iceberg. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like everybody, you see the tip of it, right? But you don't see like beneath. You know, it's a huge foundation beneath. And that's what I had to remind myself. It's just like, it's not going to happen overnight. Like I actually have to like put in the work. And this is the stuff that people don't see, right? People see the viral songs and stuff like that, but they don't see like the late nights of just writing music constantly, putting out all the songs that you felt confident about, but they didn't really go as far as you wanted them to go. And so like, I had people in my life telling me that, like my parents and stuff like that, just encouraging me like, yo, keep going. And then I would say the Lord definitely just kind of kept me in it, because it's like, Lord, I believe you gave me this gift. You know what I'm saying? So why would I just like give it up because I'm not seeing the results that I want to see right now? And so along the way, the Lord has been gracious, and he's given me like confirmations like, hey, keep going. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is something that I have for you. Like most people will not be able to say like, hey, I opened up for like one of the largest, rappers, you know what I'm saying, in the world at that time, you know what I'm saying? So just little things like that. I think God has been giving me confirmations and just keeping me from just like, throwing in a towel. So. Yeah.
And I love that imagery of like the iceberg. Like, and we were talking about it beforehand, is like, I think a lot of people think they're just going to jump in and just be great at it. And they don't understand like the time it takes. And I mean, even a lot of the rappers that we see now, like some of them is like, oh, he's a new guy. He just blew up. Like, no, this homie has been working at it for like years and years and years, And so I like that like it takes time to build that foundation. And then sometimes like once that's built, it feels like that, like it feels like you rise quick, but like we don't see the 10 years, 11, like all the years they're in the making of like owning this craft,
Yeah. And I would like to add to that too. Like a lot of times, like, the most lasting careers, the people who have the most long lasting careers are the ones that's been working at it for it the longest, because a lot of times it's kind of dangerous when you get that immediate success. You know what I'm saying? You haven't been tested too much. You know what I'm saying? You haven't felt like the lows and the highs that come with it. So I'm grateful. I believe the Lord has given me this time to prepare for what he has for me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that like a tree that can bear a lot of fruit, you know what I'm saying? I have that strong trunk, you know what I'm saying, from all these years of just putting in that time. So
yeah, no, I get that. And it's good to reflect too, like on where God is taking you. Like, I think it's easy, at least for me, like I've only been at this for like we're going on 3 years now, but sometimes I'll be like, man, I've been working hard at 3 years. Like I'm posting like multiple times a week, like for like years on end. Like, why am I only here? And then all of a sudden someone will be like, yo, you have like 1,700 followers on Instagram. Like, that's great. Like and so it's that realization that like our standard of like who has made it, like there are hundreds, thousands of people watching, and I'm still like, oh man, I haven't done anything. Like we gotta, I feel like, recognize what God is doing. And I think sometimes when the goal is like to be the next big thing, it's easy to miss like what God is currently doing in front of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really good. Really good.
But so I want to take it back to the Lil Baby, you opening for Lil Baby. So obviously I feel like this is something, I don't want to say controversial, but something in Christian spheres where it's like, okay, how do we interact with secular rap, like as Christian rappers? And so I just wanted to ask you, like, how do you feel that like Christians, especially in the rap or music industry in general, should interact with secular artists and music? Because like one of your songs says, like, I mean, it puts you on a bigger stage and like you can reach more people for the gospel, but it's also sometimes a slippery slope, you know?
Yes. Yeah. You thought I was playing, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But yeah, like I feel like you gotta be careful about it. First pray, you know what I'm saying, before you kind of go into those spaces. Like even when this was in 2022, I got the opportunity to fly to Atlanta and perform at Morehouse College and open up for Lil Baby. And along the way, I was just praying, like on that flight, I was just praying like, Lord, please help me. God, you giving me this opportunity to be a light. Help me to be a light, because all these, it was like thousands. Yeah. Like over 5,000 college students there lined up, and they're there to see Lil Baby, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so like the opportunity is to like go into that space and actually like be the light. And we were the only ones that were there to like be a light. So that was a huge blessing. So yeah, definitely I would say be prayed up about it. You can't work with every secular artist. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like if you do work with a secular artist, if God gives you that peace, it should definitely be some type of gospel presentation involved, whether it is just them just seeing your life, or is it just, speaking the gospel to them? But I feel like it's a wasted opportunity if you're going to work with an artist that doesn't, may not know Jesus, to just, see it as strictly a collaboration. I think it's more than that. So yeah, I would definitely say that for sure.
No, I love that, because I think there's a fine line between like, because I mean as Christians, like trying to make it in the field, like you're always at this crossroads of like, okay, how much do I promote myself? And like, if I'm spending all this time promoting myself, like, is God remaining the focus? Like, and so I like that you're talking about like keeping a gospel center. Like every opportunity I get to be out there, like there should be a gospel presentation. Like these people, like this is an opportunity to present the gospel.
Yes.
And so I just love that grounding.
Yes.
With that being said, like I know a lot of your music is, very gospel centric. How do you keep, like, are there tangible ways in your ministry, in your life, that you focus on keeping God like the center, like of the music, of just your life?
Yes. Great question, man. And that was something I had to learn. Like, it's not just like God can't just be the center of my life when it comes to like the music. You know what I'm saying? You can't just be that can't be the only place that he's the center of. He has to be the center of my whole life. And so what I realized is like, it's way bigger than just rap. You know what I'm saying? Like, Christian rap is a ministry, is a tool that you can use. And it's a very powerful tool. But it's not the only thing. It's not the only focus. The main focus is, I believe, is the Great Commission of Matthew 28. And so that's daily, wherever you go. And so what I had to learn was like, okay, a lot of times we're doing this Christian hip hop, it can very easily become something that's self-centered and me focused. And so a lot of times a way to keep myself grounded is to serve others.
Yeah.
I think that's the best thing to do. And that was something that, to be honest with you, like that was something I kind of was afraid of, because I always thought like, okay, I can do this Christian rap thing. I can do this Christian life thing alone. I didn't really need to like be in community. I didn't really need to serve others and stuff like that. Like that was optional. Yeah. But what I realized is that I put myself into a box, and it's like Christian rap itself is like meant to reach others. You know what I'm saying? It's not just for me. So like when I was operating in the false idea that this Christian rap thing was just only for like, I can just do this myself, I didn't really have to like do ministry with it.
Yeah.
I realized like I reached less people. You see what I'm saying? But like when I started serving others, I started reaching out, being a part of a local church. Yeah. I realized like, okay, this is what it's all about. And I started getting more opportunities to speak about God. You know what I'm saying? So that's the big key, I would say, is just like serving others, because like just being a Christian rapper and not like really serving or being a part of a local church, it's very like easy to just be like, okay, it's all about me. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, that's so good. I love that. Like Matthew, I think it's 6:24. Like in order to become the greatest, like you must become the greatest servant.
Yes.
And so, and we live in such a like individualistic culture where it's just so me focused. Like I love that. Like as a Christian, like we need to go out and like serve others. And if that's the focus, like it's going to be hard to become prideful because we're so focused on serving.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to come back to the local church thing, because I know you're heavily involved in Hill City Church. I'm here in Lynchburg.
Yeah.
And I just want to talk to you about like why, like more directly, why is that so important for you in your faith walk? Like I feel like a lot of young people, especially, they're like, yo, I believe in God. I go to a Bible study. Like I don't really need like church, because I'm like, I'm good. I'm prayed up, I'm like,
right.
I'm following God. So why, like, how is Hill City, like community church and church in general, impacted your walk? And also like, why should other people like get involved in their church communities?
Yes. First, I just want to shout out Hill City Community Church. Yo. Shout out to Pastor James Hobson and his wife, Sarah, Pastor Matt, Pastor Wes. But I'm so grateful, for Hill City Community Church and just the local church in general, because it's grown me so much in my faith. And I think that's like when people have the idea that it's just like, okay, I'm going to Bible study, or I go to a Christian college or school, like I don't really need to go any deeper than this. Yeah. I feel like you rob yourself of the blessings that God has for you when you are in his body, because the church is his body. You know what I'm saying? He says it's clear all throughout scripture. I think about Colossians 1:22, I think. 1:18. Christ is the head of the body, which is the church. Yeah. And that's us. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like when you're not in his body, I also think about 1 Corinthians 12. Like we all each have gifts. And so like when you're not a part of the body, somebody else is lacking something because you're not using your gift. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because, I'm not the arm, somebody maybe, the eye, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like we all help each other out. And so it's so important to be a part of his body. And there's so much blessings in that. You learn so much about what God has for you through that. Yeah. And also as well, like God has things to teach you, and it may be through people in the church that can help teach you that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times it's just like the word is all sufficient. Don't get me wrong. Like we need the word. We uphold that above everything else. But a lot of times God uses people in his body to teach you a lesson or show you something or bless you with some wisdom that you wouldn't have had if you were just doing it by yourself in your, circle. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. No, I love that. Like the duality of like, we're not just in church to receive. Like for us, we're in church to like, be a part of the body and use our gifts. Yes. And kind of like you meant, like even in Corinthians, like the gifts of the Spirit and stuff like that, like that's mentioned in the context of church. Like we take that out of context, but he's like writing that letter to a church. And so I love how you're bringing it back to the body. Like we forsake the body so often, I feel like, in today's culture, and especially like as young people. It's like, I don't know, for some reason we're like, well, if I'm being filled up, like I'm good. Yeah. But it's this idea that like, well, first of all, there are people in the church who can like minister to you even better than your college age friends who have not done a lot of life, you know?
Yes.
And so that was really good. Yeah.
That is. That is. I would add to that as well. Like, it's so important too, as well, to like, not like, when you go to church, it's not always about just like what you can get out of it. And I feel like that's what most people do. Some people like, you know, they go to church each Sunday, they get what they can get, and then they're gone. But a lot of times, like, when you serve, you know what I'm saying, maybe when you stay behind at church and talk to some people, you realize like you have community there. You have brothers and sisters. There's things that you can help them with. They need your help with, and there's things that they can help you with. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we got to be careful not to like just be, I would say even like spiritual leeches. You know what I'm saying? Just feeding off of other people's experiences, but not really kind of like, you know, experiencing Christ, you know, for who he is. And, you know what I'm saying? So we gotta change that for sure. Yeah,
that's tough. Spiritually, I love that. That's good. I haven't heard that before either. Yeah. But like, that's so true. Like, you can go and like hear pastor's sermons and his analogies and everything, and then not go out and do it, you know? And so you're just like almost living vicariously like through the pastor of the church or through the people in the church, but you're not like living that life that reflects that.
Yes.
Yeah. So good. That's tough. So kind of changing gears a little bit, what advice would you have for someone who wants to pursue a career in Christian music or Christian rap in general, and maybe they're struggling with this insecurity of like, what if I can't? Like, what if I'm not good enough? What if I'm not a good enough communicator? Like, what if this isn't what God has called me to? Like, what advice would you give to them?
Man, that's so good, man. Cause like, even like what you just said, like, what if I'm not a great communicator? I kind of felt that way about myself, you know what I'm saying, for the longest. And I feel like the more and more I just like get closer to Christ, I realize like that's a lie. And there's so many lies that you can believe about yourself. Like, you know, what if I'm not a great communicator? You know, isn't that what like Moses said, you know what I'm saying, before like he told him, you know what I'm saying? But he used Moses to lead the people, you know what I'm saying, out of Egypt, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, don't allow the enemy to put thoughts in your mind about, you know, negative thoughts in your mind that just make you feel less than what God has given you. God has given you gifts, you know what I'm saying? And so if the Lord is calling you to Christian rap, be confident in that. That's something I had to learn. Like, it took me a while, you know what I'm saying? I started in 2015, but I felt like I didn't really get my stride going until like, I would say like 2022, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's different, but keep going, because if you know the Lord is giving you a gift, use it for him. Because if you try to go around that or try to do something else, it's just going to make things more difficult for you because you're not operating in your purpose. You know what I'm saying? So I would encourage you, man, like, make sure you get closer to Christ, stay in his word, believe what he believes about you. You know what I'm saying? So
that's so good. And I feel like sometimes like bouncing off of you a little bit, like we see like God has given us this gift and then we start doubting like it's Satan at the end of the day. It's like, man, what if I'm not actually as good as this as I think? Or what if God is actually not gifted me with this? What if he's not called me to this? And I'm sure you can relate with this, but I've seen in my life a lot where it's like, I'll have this moment where God reminds me, it's like, oh snap, this is what you called me to. And it's something simple. Like I got to teach at Hill City Youth Group or for the middle schoolers and high schoolers. And I hadn't taught in a while, and I was having some doubt about, maybe I'm not called to be a communicator. Maybe I'm not called to do this. And it went really well, and everyone was really engaged. And like, I was like, okay, God, you have given me this gift. Like,
yes.
And so I'm sure like you've seen that as a rapper and as a communicator. I know you spoke at LCA's last chapel a couple of weeks ago, or not their last, but one of their chapels a couple of weeks ago. Like, how have you seen God kind of reaffirm your vision, like as you've gone through this, or I guess his vision that you're aligning, but
Yes. I would definitely say like the Lord knows like when you are getting ready to like reach maybe like a breaking point or feel like you're going to just like give in. The Lord knows that. And it's just like, I feel like a lot of times when you get to those moments, that's the time that you hold on to the Lord the most, because some way, somehow he always presents you with an opportunity to kind of like, that's in your gift to show you like, hey, you know, don't get discouraged. Like, this is for you. Like, don't think twice about it. And I feel like for me, that was speaking at Liberty Christian Academy, and speaking to over 1,000 kids and performing for them, and then just kind of like seeing their reaction to it, because I performed, but I also like preached for the first time. This was huge, you know what I'm saying? And so I was nervous about it, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially that night before, I was like, Lord, like, please help me. Like, I'm literally getting ready to preach. And so, you know, I woke up that morning and God gave me this confidence, you know what I'm saying? And so I walked in it, got there, and everything went great. You know what I'm saying? Like, the students were very receptive to what I was saying. And the performance, they went crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, kids having their phones out. I'm taking their phones and filming us. You know what I'm saying? Like, doing stuff that I haven't really done before myself. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just like, that reminded me, that was just an example of, you know, of the Lord reminding me like, hey, this is for you. You got this. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times, like, a key indicator of knowing like something, that God has something for you, is a lot of times it feels effortless to do it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of times the doubt comes from the enemy. You know what I'm saying? The doubt doesn't come from the Lord. You know what I'm saying? So the enemy is going to make you doubt your gift, even though it's something that you know, you may be really good in. Yeah. He's still going to find a way to make you doubt it. So I feel like that's something that we're always going to battle. If I'm just keeping it real, we're always going to battle doubt, because even before I perform a show, sometimes I still kind of get a little bit of butterflies in my stomach, but I turn that doubt into like, okay, what if this happens, or what if that happens? I turn that doubt and I lean it onto the Lord, and I'm like, okay, Lord, like, I need you. You know what I'm saying? I need you to help me. And so I feel like a lot of times too, whenever you feel doubt about something in your gift, use it as fuel to lean on the Lord and say, hey, this is only you can do this through me. It's not me doing this. Only you can do this through me. Yeah.
And I feel like often, at least I see how doubt worked out in my life. It's like, it's that remembering like, yeah, God, it's only you who can do this through me. And I've seen you provide time and time again. And I'm still like, it's like, why am I still doubting you? Like, I know you're going to come through. Like you always have, like, you're a provider. Yes. And so it's not God who's placing that doubt. It's Satan. But like, I hate that we let it eat at us longer than it should sometimes, you know, and let it linger, when we can just remind ourselves like, God was faithful then. Like, why wouldn't he be faithful now?
Amen. Amen. So
that's so good. Yes. I want to switch gears as we kind of wrap up. I think we're getting close to the 30-ish minute mark. You got an album coming in July, which I'm super excited for.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Do you have, I don't know how much you want to share or drop, but is there like a theme or a vision behind this? Like, what's the ultimate goal here, like, behind this album?
Thank you, man. That's a great question. I'm excited about it, man. I've been working on this album, man, it had to be for about 3 years now. Snap. And so, like, it's been, you know, just a process all the way through. But one of my favorite people in the Bible was Samson. Believe it or not, you know, because a lot of times we hear about Samson and like, oh, his story just, I don't know. He was, you know what I'm saying? Like, he did a lot of bad things, which he did. But I feel like his story, what I got out of it the most was like, okay, like, he's literally an example of like what to learn from, what things not to do. And so with this album, the album is called Young Samson. And so Young Samson is actually kind of like an alter ego for me, because, you know, with my music, I'm the type of artist that likes to have eras in my music. You know what I'm saying? So it's 3 Z's, you got, you know, Young T'Challa, all these other alter egos. I put them in my music. I love Easter eggs in my music. But Young Samson is one of those. Tough. And I've been building that up for a while. And so basically with this album, I'm taking his story and I'm aligning it with mine. I'm like, okay, here's Samson's story. here's Jay Bizzze's story.
Yeah.
What can I learn from his story? And how can I put that out in a way where people can like see this parallel, and what can they learn from it?
Yeah.
And so what you can learn from this album is about like how to deal with lust, how to deal with pride, the importance of the Holy Spirit. You know what I'm saying? And so those are 3 big keys that come out of this album. So I'm so excited for people to hear it. Lord willing, we will be dropping it July. And first lead single will drop in June.
Okay.
So
that's probably around when this is going to come out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So first single coming out in June, and then we're going to go right into the album. But yeah, I can't wait for y'all to hear it, man. So.
Yeah, Young Samson, that's tough. I'm pumped. I'm
Yes,
excited.
Yes,
that's such a niche. I love that. Like, yeah, I think that's such a cool avenue to go down too.
Yeah, I feel like too, it is kind of like a creative risk that I'm taking with it, because it being my first album, I'm just kind of jumping right into like a concept. You know what I'm saying? It's not really just trying to make, you know, a whole bunch of viral songs. Like, it has a theme all the way through. I want you to learn something out of it.
Yeah.
So I'm praying that the Lord will bless and that it will touch people's lives. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I love about Christian rap in general, is like there are like concepts in it. Like, it's not shallow. Like, there is deeper meaning. And so it's cool, like picking apart Young Samson. Like, you have like, I mean, he lusted. He like there's so many things that we can pull from his story. And so I think that's super cool that you're like,
thank you, man.
Yeah, seeing that as like the overarching vision.
Appreciate
that's
you.
Awesome. And then as far as his business.
Yes, sir. You already know I'm rocking a drip right now. Yes, sir. If he dresses the lilies, how much more will he clothe you, man? But yes, I thank the Lord, man. I started my first official clothing brand, His Business, in September of 2023. Took a leap of faith. I've always been into clothes, but also just using it as a way, realizing that I can use it in a way to bring God glory. So a big motto for my brand is that we create conversations. We create clothing that creates conversations about the gospel. And so every piece, every shirt, every hoodie we make is based off of scripture. Each collection that we do. So make sure y'all stay tuned for that. Follow HIZBIZNIZ on Instagram. So yeah.
That's tough. I love that. And like, I mean, even with the shirt you're wearing now, someone walks up and they're like, yo, who's he? Like, what is it? Right. He's dressing the lilies. Like, it's such a great conversation starter too.
Yes. So many people came up to me, man, while I was wearing this shirt. And I'm like, yo, what does that mean? How much more really clothes? What does that mean? And I tell them, I'm like, yeah, you know, what Jesus is literally teaching about anxiety. You know what I'm saying? And so I get to share that with them, you know what I'm saying? And point them to verses of scripture, Matthew 6:30 and all this stuff. And so many people have followed, you know, that may not even be Christians, but they were just curious about it. So it's so important. Like, clothes, like what you wear does matter, you know what I'm saying? And so like, why not use it to bring God glory? So
that's so good. So as we wrap up, this is the season 3 finale. And so we're working on a season 4, a theme that'll be coming soon. In the meanwhile, we might be taking a break in July. That's up in the air right now, but super excited for what God has planned. Super thankful for Jay Bizzze for coming on today.
Man. Thank you.
It's been fun. Also,
this is episode 13, right? 13, yep. And we're in season 3.
Season 3.
3 Z's. You already know what it is. I just had to make that connection. That's
tough. Also, shout out Josh Carroll behind the scenes with the videography work and stuff. Without him, this episode, I mean, this is gonna look sick. If you guys are watching on Instagram, whatever, like, it's gonna look super cool. So super thankful for Josh Carroll behind the scenes.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Until next time, out.